it's very, very important for us to rediscover who we are. And that for her was a very, very essential thing. The focus on children I have mentioned, but I think that it's important to mention that there are scholars who have said that she was the first Ghanaian writer to take a serious interest in writing for children, but also in publishing. In fact, it seems that she probably was one of the earliest women, African women publishers in the post-independence era. Now, she was a mentor to many people, and I think that mentoring became something that that I would say she spent a lot of her time on. So there are many writers who say that they couldn't recognize their work when it had gone through her hands because there were so many red marks in there with her editing the work. But also there were so many people who found discovered what they could do through her hands. And I'm going to do something that that I haven't told the people I'm going to do about. But I have to ask Mr. Akunu Dake and Auntie Amabwabing to stand up because they went I couldn't get up because Auntie Amampa taught these are people who have been very influential in the arts in Ghana. Akunu Dake in just all manner of organizing, all manner of approaches to organizing the arts in Ghana. He's a consultant and so on. And I think he would say that he was very highly influenced by Efua Sutherland. Auntie Amabwabing is the longest living female concert party artist that we have in Ghana, very famous person. And she always acknowledges Sutherland's influence, Sutherland's influence in the way that she approached theater. And one of those things was getting theater artists to go out and do research before they put themselves up there on the stage. One of her mentors unfortunately died last year, Professor Amata Edu. But I want to read a few lines from a poem that she wrote about her relationship to Sutherland. Ow, how you mothered us with that maddening, formidable self-assurance, those humorously luminous and luminously humorous eyes that sought out our inner weaknesses in hope of setting us straight, not just someday, but right away. You never gave up on us, not for a minute, knowing as you did that given half a chance, you could and still can soar high above our normal human frailties and make a glowing, glittering something of ourselves and our world. Encouraging, supporting, affirming. So what did you think we were going to do without you? So that's Amate Edu's tribute to Sutherland, or part of her tribute to Sutherland. I think that there will be a lot of time to talk about the work that she did. Professor Buzia has talked about the fact that she set up a number of institutions, the Ghana Drama Studio and so on, the Commission on Culture, on Children that she promoted, the Mofra Foundation, setting up, helping to set up the School of Performing Arts. There's so many institutions, the Achakwids done and so on. So we do, over the course of the year, we hope that we can share a lot more with you. But the question that I want to leave with you before I hand over to Ralph, who will talk about other aspects of her, is a question about whether or not we understood what she was doing? And if so, what have we allowed some of the institutions that she established to crumble or to totter? And is maybe this is an opportunity for us to go back and lift those institutions back up again. Thank you very much, Rolf.
I have a little problem with academics. AC has done very well referring to our mother as Sutherland. Forgive me if I just refer to her as Ma. So she had a peculiar approach to environment and to concepts of space. From an architect's viewpoint, I think that I've been amazed at just how she evoked and expressed her life work in the midst of architecture. If I begin with the home we grew up in, it was a simple expression, perhaps more contemporary at the time, of the courtyard house. And whilst it's easy to refer to a courtyard as a physical space, it really is much more than that. It is a socializing space. It is a space in which people live, breathe, eat, cook, meet, play, and entertain themselves. And our home was exactly like that. We would spend hours lying on the lawn in the courtyard, looking up at the sky, chatting, catching up on our day. And that expression of the courtyard being possible for a modern society means that it is not simply a traditional form of housing. It is as relevant today for us as it was then, and it has a telling influence on how we grow up as families and friends within the context of a home in a more connected way. The second area of space that I would speak to is a specialized courtyard, if I can call it that, and that is the performance space. So she would continue to develop spaces like the Ghana Drama Studio and the Kudzidan, in which the focus of the space was for much like the living courtyard. The wonder of these spaces is the way it hosts the interactivity between the performer and the viewer in such a natural way that you would often find the viewer become the performer and the performer standing by to watch. And the form of courtyard, I think in more studious circumstances, they call it the theater in the round. But for us, it is home and social life being brought to bear in social entertainment, social performance, and the expressions that it would mean for us in contemporary society are many and varied. I have myself as an architect, I'm still exploring the use of courtyards, namata. And we look forward to, my wife is also an architect, and a lot of our work, wherever it is possible, goes into the history of digging up some of the legacies she left there. The last space I'd like to talk about is more the natural environment. And she had a very sacred attitude to nature. Nature and trees and the use of preserving what you have naturally were very strong in her ethos. And we grew up again in a farm. So the place we're sitting now and all around us was essentially a large farm. Accra has grown past it, but in those days, if you heard a car going by after 6, it was a wonder, and to see traffic here today is incredible. But that transition of urbanism in eating up the natural environment and not respecting it sufficiently is one of the big issues that has arisen with the Efua Sutherland Park. And she stood for it, she won it from government, to stand for something in our society and for the future of our children. And we all need to stand up for that when the case for advocacy arises. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's somebody that I didn't introduce. The managing director of Afram Publications is way at the back there, and that was one of her major nationalist positions, that, you know, we shouldn't be reading Harriet Tatian. This is the privilege you get when you're almost 70 years old. You can just tell people to stand and sit and so on. So, but it was one of the concrete stands that she took, that children, African children, should see themselves in books. So I hope that you'll be able to look at some of the work that they have brought. I'd like to also thank Martin Egblewogbe and the Writers Project for representing writers here. Thank you very much, Emma. I know we've gone over our time, but you know you should have expected that, honestly. Please.
One of the things you get to do when you are above 70, you can tell anybody to get up or sit down. Yeah.
Please put your hands together one more time for Professor A.C. Sutherland Adi and Mr. Ralph Sutherland. Thank you so very much. At this point, we'll take a dramatized reading from Elizabeth Efua Sutherland. A round of applause, please.
Good afternoon. So I'm reading a short excerpt from one of my plays, which is in response to my grandmother's work. It's titled Ananse's Wife, Efua's Daughter. My people have a saying that they say, a telling that they tell, when they're about to tell a tale, a silly saying, or so some people say. And it goes, I do not really mean to say that what I'm about to say is true. It's a story. It's just a story. Let it come and let it go. I'm going to tell you a story. I have one you haven't heard before. Well, you might have heard it, but not like this. Never like this. About the one they call Ananse, the Spider-Man, Ananse Kuntunkun, the famous Akan trickster. He was the son of the sky god, Nananya Minyankupon. His mother is the goddess of the earth, Yenina Yenmame Asasiya. He's a trickster, the best and worst of that kind. It is said that he wreaked so much havoc on heaven and earth that he was punished, cast out of the realms of earth and sky for his mischief and his selfish self-interest. He was banished to the space in between, never quite up, never quite down, cursed with a changed shape. This is a story you haven't heard before about the one they call Ananse, and about the one we call his wife, Aso, is an ear. Ears listen. Listen. Listen, listen, listen. Have you ever listened for the story seeped in collective forgetting of our most ancient civilization, the voices drowned in the tongues of our lingering griots, who remember what they are told to remember and forget what they are told to forget? What are we told to forget? Our bodies, our words, our names. Listen. So that's a very short excerpt from this play, and we'll be producing a season of work in response to the work of Efua Sutherland over the course of the next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Please let's hear it one more time for Elizabeth Efua Sutherland. and she happens to be a granddaughter of Efua Theodora Sutherland. At this point, I would have you watch the screen for 2 short videos. I was privileged to hear for the first time the voice of Efua Theodora Sutherland. It was soothing. It had a sense of, I've known you for a while. And for you who have heard her voice before, I hope it revives some memories for you. And so we'll hear her in her own words, after which we'll get the highlights of the centenary celebrations from Amoy Sutherland Phillips. That would also be a video. So those 2 videos would follow, and then I'll come back with a group of amazing people for a brief conversation on what we're doing to mark the centenary celebrations, and then would unveil the legacy project. And so do stay with me. We'll wrap this up in a bit. Please turn your attention to the screen. Listen to Efua Theodora Sutherland in her own words.
The image of the book, is a self-image. You open a book and it's about you, not always about other people, you see. And educationally, it is absolutely necessary to make an effort to give our children that kind of a book, because he has been fed on other things for too long. And it does do damage to one's sense of oneself. My purpose is to help develop the literature of my country, both adult literature and juvenile literature, because we need to do this, in the process we are in of self-rediscovery and, building up our sense of our own identity and putting this out in every direction we can, through education and through the theater, etc. Literature is not strange enough, is not a strange commodity in African culture. We have a lot of literature, not written, mind you. So actually the word literature is a misnomer. It connotes something written, but we have a fantastic wealth of verbal art, the poetry and narratives, epics, legends, folk tales, the lot. And it happens to have in form and style and in content, and just its awareness of the true African environment, which supports our lives. And so it is incomparable. So we did have that for models.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know we will. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will.
Allow me to do a few introductions. We have in our midst the CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, in no particular order, my list is a bit mixed up, so pardon me if I introduce someone before you. It's with no malice intended. Thank you. So please help me welcome in our midst the CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mr. Kwesi Agyemang. A round of applause for him, please.
Good afternoon. My name is
We're having a bit of a technical challenge with the second video. We'll fix it and we'll play it when the time is due. We also have Mr. Akunu Dake. If you could give us a wave, a round of applause. We have in our midst Mrs. Christina Sutherland, Mr. Enimil Ashon. We have the Executive Director of the Ghana Book Development Trust. Welcome, ma'am. We also have the Deputy Director of NYU Accra Campus. They just did a very recent event to honor Efua Theodora Sutherland. A round of applause for her. We have the Chief Director, Ministry of Tourism, Mr. John Agbeko. You're welcome, sir. The Director of the Institute of African Studies. You're welcome. We have Miss Amabua Bing. She's the longest living female of the concert party. We acknowledged her earlier. And to do this session, we would invite a few stakeholders that have decided to come together to do different activities in the course of the year as part of the centenary celebrations to honor Efua Sutherland. So kindly help me with a round of applause. Invite these people to the stage and we'll talk through wins from Image Bureau, and he will be staff of Image Bureau and April Communications. We have, I call her Auntie Amy, and that's stuck with me, from the National Theatre, the Director for the National Theatre. Please welcome Auntie Amy. We have Fifi Coleman of Fifi Coleman Productions, if he's around. We have the Deputy Director of the NYU Accra Campus. Join us briefly. And Professor Ntiwusu of African Studies. And my very self, Emma Ofosu-Adonko. A round of applause, please. So our mandate here is very simple. These amazing personalities representing different institutions and organizations have decided to set time aside in their year's calendar to celebrate Professor Efua Sutherland. And so they will tell us briefly what they are each doing, where they are doing it, if they have the date, when they are doing it, how we can all be a part of it. And so you've heard my voice for a long time. I'll have George Quay start, and then after would have National Theatre speak. No, actually, let's have NYU speak since they have already done their event. So we'll have NYU tell us why they chose to celebrate with the Laboni Dialogues reading.
Thank you very much. I was getting jealous when I saw him holding the mic. We at NYU Accra do consider ourselves exceedingly privileged to have been given the opportunity to roll out the first of the global activities honoring Professor Efua Sutherland. On behalf of the site director, Professor Frankie Edozin, who is unfortunately out of the country in Abu Dhabi, attending a director's meeting, I'm here to thank the steering committee and the family for that wonderful opportunity. It is our prayer that in the coming weeks and months, all the other remaining activities will be seamlessly executed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for him.
I think I can give the mic to him.
Now you can hand it over to George.
Even when she mentioned me first, I wasn't happy because it looked like she selected by height. which is not fair. You know, usually back in school, they would always say shortest in front. So yeah, it's kind of become part of us as Ghanaians. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to be here. People like the woman we're here to celebrate today are the reason some of us are who we are today. I keep telling people how it was a battle when I decided to go into the arts between my dad and I, because my dad wanted to raise a lawyer. I was a very strong debater back in secondary school. I was in the Writers and Debaters Club of the only secondary school in Ghana. That's Fanspam. Sorry? Did somebody say anything? Very good. That's cool. And I was a good debater, so my dad was sure. Every time he introduced me to his friends, oh, yeah, not Niama, oh, you feel lawyer, you feel lawyer. The man was happy. So here, a young man graduated from Fanspam School, very good results. The first thing I told him was that I wanted to go to the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI. The first thing he said was, Uyoseke. Uyoseke in Ghana means, are you mad? Are you okay? He wouldn't hear it. You know, it took the grace of God for me to end up at the School of Performing Arts. And I have Professor Martinosu to thank for, because Professor Martinosu was his friend back in secondary school as well. So he sort of had to come in, talk to him, convince him before I became who I am today. I thank people like Professor Martinosu as well, people like Professor Sutherland, and everybody who has in one way or the other made the arts in Ghana relevant. In partnership with April Communications and the National Theatre, we've picked one of the best works ever, The Marriage of Anansiwa. And we're going to be staging The Marriage of Anansiwa in October this year. And we pray that everybody will be there to see it. Anybody who has seen any of our productions? Anybody who has seen any of our productions? Okay, few. If you haven't seen any yet, you can come this month from 21st to 23rd of this month at the National Theatre. We are rerunning Ola Rotimi's The Gods Are Not to Blame again. You're all invited to come see it. When you come see that, then it can give you an idea of what we're going to do with this masterpiece. For us, The Marriage of Anansiwa is one of the best written plays in the world. And what we intend to do to it will be mind-blowing. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Wow. Today is, for me, it's a day of reflection, because I know what Auntie Efua has done for the industry. And some of us were lucky enough to interact with her. And so when I heard of the celebration, a lot of things came to mind. But this year, what we're doing is, in the month of May, we have our Fun World. So that May 19th Fun World episode will be dedicated to Auntie Efua's children's plays, so that there's a focus on the children's plays. And then for our theater festival, which happens the end of September, we're asking everyone who will be participating in the festival to select one of Auntie Efua's plays. So the whole month will be dedicated to her. So we'll also have workshops and symposia to talk about how she worked, her process, some of the works that she has, and to just talk about her as a pioneer in the arts. One of the two dreams that I have, just before COVID, we had a reading of Femi Osofisan's Not All Canoes Sail Back Home. It's his latest play, and it's a gathering of 4 powerful women at the drama studio talking about the death of J.B. Dankwa. I'm still working on him, and if it's possible, I would like to bring that back so that in 2025 it can be the last event that will cap all of the celebration off. And then hopefully one of the things we'd like to do, because the National Theatre location was actually the location for the drama studio. And we've often wondered why there is no place in the building that acknowledges the role of Auntie Efua. So if we can get a plaque, something in that space that would recognize her efforts and recognize the work that happened on those grounds. We'll get that done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are thinking of having a seminar or a conference just to interrogate the works and then the legacy of Efua Sutherland. We may begin to wonder why this should be the case. The Institute of African Studies is celebrating 60 years of its existence and want to integrate that as part of our celebrations. Now, this is very important and necessary because Sutherland was one of the founding faculty of the Institute of African Studies. Second, she's been so kind enough to give us a daughter that continues to be the brain behind the success of African Studies. In terms of teaching, in terms of mentorship, in terms of guidance. When I was made the director of the Institute of African Studies, I know she wouldn't like to hear that. She said, until you have to come to the house. And I came for close to 3 hours. She was coaching and guiding me as to how to be a good director. So we are really benefiting from Sutherland. Then finally, she's left a lot of historical material. And as an institute, we definitely would like to interrogate that, especially the pictures that we have here. Pictures taken by Willis Bells. I think we took several days or months just trying to be able to piece these pictures together. So her legacy is actually beyond Ghana, and we need to recognize that in the seminar and in the conference. Thank you so much.
My name is Fifi Coleman. What I know of Auntie Efua is what I've read in books. I never met her. I never saw her. And very recently, I was privileged enough to give a webinar to students of University of California, Irvine, the Theater Arts Department. They had me give a almost 2-hour lecture on Auntie Atayedu's works. But one of the questions that they asked was they wanted to know Auntie Efua's influence on Auntie Ama's works. And then I was screaming all over the place. So I read a lot because I didn't know anything at the time. So I went running around looking for books and starting to study everything that Efua stood for. And the more I read about her and her influence and what she championed, the more I fell in love with her works. So when the time came for me to choose a play to do theater festival for her, I asked 3 questions. Has anyone ever asked you, how much do you love me? Has anyone ever asked you to prove how much you love me? And thirdly, what have you done to prove that you love someone? Edufra is the play of choice for Fifi Coleman Productions. Thank you very much. We don't have a date. I think it's part of the theater festival, Auntie Me. So we are all playing within the September-October window, right? Yes, so I think that's where we would be. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. So my name is Emma Ofusua, the freestyle poet. I happen to be the convener for the All African Women Poetry Festival. And each year we pick a literary legend to celebrate and to make sure their works are known. When I say that I'm a poet, most people say, who do you read? And they're expecting to hear foreign names. I'm like, well, they're African writers too. When I set out on this journey, I wondered what it meant to be African, what were our stories like. And so it led me to dig into African writers. And for last year, our focus was Ama Ata Edu of blessed memory before her passing. This year, we're looking to focus on Efua Sutherland, and we're curating the whole celebration around her. And so for the first day when you come, which is the 23rd of May, you would get to play and tap into the child in you that most of us get trapped in corporate and we forget who we were as children, what play meant to us. So we'll have playtime during the festival on day one. We'll close that day with a photo exhibition of Efua Sutherland. We'll get to show you what she looked like, who she was at her core, what she stood for, and some of the things that resonate deeply with the family and they still hold dear about her. So we are curating this exhibition in collaboration with Amawi Sutherland Phillips. On the second day, we'll have panel conversations on discussing her plays, discussing her poems. Most people know her plays, but very few know her poems. And so we want to share that with you. Students from different secondary schools will be studying her plays. They've actually started the process, and they have coaches taking them through the process of studying, learning how to deliver it, and they would read that or perform that in a competition on the 24th of May at the Du Bois Center. On the 25th, we crown it with a concert in her honor, but also to bring in other young voices to join in the celebration. So we'll have poets from South Africa, poets from Nairobi, poets from Zimbabwe, and poets from Ghana as well join in that closing concert. We'll also have a stage play from Elizabeth Sutherland. She read earlier, so we should have some experimental staging of a play to get you immersed in that whole experience. So we invite you to join us from the 23rd to the 26th of May. The last day will be an outreach to market women. Efua Sutherland loved the ordinary person, the person who wasn't the academic. So we want to reach out to that cluster of people and engage in folklore with them. So we'll teach them a thing or two. We'll teach them some songs, some tunes from Voice in the Forest. They'll teach us a thing or two from their end, and together we would celebrate the legacy that she left. And so we invite you all to join us from the 23rd to 26th of May at the Du Bois Center and the Foundation for Contemporary Art. We will be knocking on your doors again to join us at the opening lunch. When we do, please welcome us with open arms. And that wraps the All African Women Poetry Festival. Thank you very much for listening to us. If you have any questions at this point, you can ask before they take their seats. Otherwise, we have question time later. And so does anybody have any question for the centenary celebration event before our dignitaries take their stage?
For the theater festival, if you are interested in participating, please contact us at the National Theatre. One of the things we're going to do this year is we're going to take one of Auntie Efua's plays that she wrote in both English and Twi. So the concert party groups will do the Twi version, and then there'll be another group that will do the English version. So if there are any artistic directors here who are interested in participating and want to mount one of her plays, please contact us. Thank you.
I like to talk about money. Everything you've heard is very expensive. So we'll be coming to some of you, we'll be asking for sponsorship and support. Please do well to support us and do well to network us to other people who can also support this. It is a worthy cause. It is a very, very important activity, and we do have a legacy project that we are about to unveil. It is not like we want to collect money and spend it among ourselves. No, we want to use it to do something worthy, something that's going to be beneficial to society. So when we come knocking, please. My brother Fifi Coleman had to be excused. He has a plane to catch. He had to postpone a very important travel to be here today. So apologizing on his behalf. Thank you.
A round of applause for as they take their seats. What you'll be seeing next?
My son, for your head.
Oh, keep clapping until they see.
My son, for your head. My son, for your head.
I want my head. So what you're about to see is the legacy projects that the family settled on. We know that Efua Sutherland stood a lot for drama, and the Efua Sutherland drama studio, Legon campus, well, rightly named after her. She literally sketched that edifice before it came to life. It's something I'm learning and very much fascinated by it. As part of the centenary year, we hope that the plays, proceeds from each of the plays that will be staged, and from most of the activities we have lined up for the year, a percentage of that will be going towards renovating the ETS drama studio on Legon campus. This is a good time to put your hands together. And so we're going to show you a short documentary on the drama studio, and then we'll come back to take a few questions. So please do well to have some questions for us, and we'd love to engage you. After this, then we'll watch the video from Amoe Phillips on the website. Thank you.
A type of government theatre who has many important edifices like the Children's Park, Nafra Place, and others named after her, dedicated her life to amplifying diverse voices and empowering future generations of storytellers. But the story isn't about the lives she touched, nor about her legacy. It is about the house designed to train generations of storytellers like her, yet sadly left to ruin. A house named after her at the University of Ghana. The Efua Sutherland Drama Studio.
This drama studio is a reconstruction of the original drama studio that used to be in Accra, where the National Theatre is.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Okay.
Originally done by Efua Sutherland. Oh. So when it was pulled down, and then there was the need to replace it under Dr. Ben Abdallah, the then Secretary for Education and Culture. This site won the place for putting up the new drama studio, which was around early 1990s.
For many years, the Efua Sutherland Drama Studio at the University of Ghana served as a vibrant hub, nurturing artistic expression and echoing with the power of storytelling. But time, like the relentless hand of fate, has taken its toll. The open-air structure, once a vibrant stage, now bears the marks of neglect. The ever-growing student population and the harsh elements have rendered it nearly unusable, silencing the potential for artistic expression.
It saddens my heart that yes, being in a school of performing arts and then having our practicals in a drama studio where it is overly dilapidated. Technological advancement is a no-no for us. We don't have the opportunity to have a good feeling of what a theater is.
In a cruel twist of fate, another dream remains unfulfilled. Roughly 2 decades ago, a new state-of-the-art drama studio project was initiated, promising a more modern and sustainable space. The project remains abandoned, a stark reminder of unrealized aspirations and unfulfilled promises. 2024 marks the centenary of Efua Sutherland's birth. A year to celebrate her immense contribution to Ghanaian theatre and cultural expression. But amidst the joy and anticipation, a question arises. How can we truly honor her legacy if the stages meant to carry it forward remain in such disrepair? This is why it is welcoming news that after years of neglect and thanks to the current leadership of the University of Ghana, work is about to start on this new complex to completion. This makes it even more important for us to support the renovation works on the old Efua Sutherland Drama Studio as part of her centenary celebrations.
As a playwright, we've been training a lot of playwrights, but where do we get to even perform the plays? I did a search, and we had about 60 playwrights, and we can't even put up their shows because nowhere.
There's no venue.
Apart from this drama studio.
Every sphere of this life is grounded on the arts. Supporting this building, whoever can, However little, however small your contribution can be, please, I see you're doing your bit. Contribute it. For the reward is beyond that which human eye, human perception can see.
By taking action, by restoring the stage to its former glory, we not only honor Efua Sutherland's vision, but also invest in the future of Ghanaian theatre, ensuring that stories continue to be told, voices continue to be amplified, and artistic expression flourishes for generations to come.
Good afternoon. My name is Amowi Sutherland Phillips, and I would like to echo my siblings Ralph and AC in thanking you for joining in this launch of our mother's centenary celebration. The celebration itself actually began last year with the event marking the 50th anniversary of Afram Publications, a pioneering indigenous publishing house founded by Efua Sutherland and one of the first women-led publishing ventures to be established in Africa. Other occasions worth noting include the two-day Kimpa Vita Pan-African Festival, named for a Congolese heroine and held last November in Dakar, Senegal, with Efua Sutherland as its 2023 honoree. Last year also saw two of Efua Sutherland's plays, Edufa and The Marriage of Anansiwa, made accessible to new audiences with a publication in French translation facilitated by the French Institute in Ghana. My own keynote address in Sao Paulo, Brazil a few months ago centered on reintroducing Playtime in Africa, our mother's visionary book co-authored with Willis Bell on the importance of making room for children to play. It was quite something to hear an auditorium full of Brazilians raising the roof with the sound of chichikule. And of course, New York University in Accra just gave us an excellent start to 2024 with their Labani Dialogue session on Efua Sutherland just last week. These events, as well as other activities slated for 2024 and 2025, some of which you will hear about this afternoon, reflect our mother's multifaceted career and can be followed through efuasutherlandlegacy.com and associated social media. We ask you to bear with us as we continue to build out this beta website into a one-stop source for biographical information, an events calendar which we are continuously updating as requests come in, and guidance on permissions to use her materials. We plan to make available such resources as audiovisual records, archival material, synopses of her works, and stories on centenary activities across Africa and around the world. Ahead of her time, as always, our mother was and continues to be a great influencer. I wish you all a wonderful evening.
And that was Amowi Sutherland Phillips giving us the highlights. We'll take a few words from the Ghana Tourism Authority and we'll have the CEO, Mr. Akwesi Ajiman, come share a few words with us with the blessing of the Chief Director. A round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. I go. Okay. They say I should go here. I go. All right, so I stand here on behalf of the Chief Director. He's here, but he says I should do the talking because today is Tuesday. He doesn't speak in public on Tuesdays. So I'm here on his behalf and on behalf of the ministry to throw our weight and support to this centenary celebration. How I wish that this was a Panafest year because one of the greatest legacies of Efua Sutherland is Panafest. And it's something that she has given to Ghana, and we will continue to remember her for that. Unfortunately, this is not a Panafest year, but I've been asked to say that because we are going to celebrate emancipation this year, the reverential night will be dedicated as a night of tribute to Efua Sutherland. And so on the 31st of July, I hope that all of you will be there in Cape Coast as we pay tribute to really somebody who has impacted us all through her writings, through her work, and through her commitment and dedication to Ghana. And so now it's no longer voice in the forest, it's voice in the grave. But even in the grave, she's making an impact for all of us to see. So thank you, and God bless us all.
My son, for your hair, my son, for your hair. Chief doesn't talk on Tuesdays. When I grow, I want to be like you. On Tuesdays, I will not talk. Wednesdays, I eat fufu.
A round of applause for Never. And so at this point, we'll take comments and questions from you. If you have any questions, any comments, would like to hear from you. There's one event we didn't mention, which is what Terra Alta is also doing to celebrate mark the year. And so Elizabeth will tell us a bit about that. And then please, we'll take the questions and comments.
Hello again. So for those of you who may not be aware, there's a space called Terra Alta around the corner, which is also on Efua Sutherland's land. But it's a space for theatre making. I heard somebody say there's no other spaces for theatre making. It's not entirely accurate. And we are going to have a little sub-season, which includes 3 main elements. There's a mobile library that's available to travel to events. So if anybody is hosting an event and would like to have a pop-up exhibition and library arrive in your space, please do reach out. We also will have a art exhibition looking at the younger generation's responses to Efua Sutherland's work. So this includes photos in response to her book, The Roadmakers, and some other works by Amatafet, who's here, and a number of other younger artists who've made work over the years in response to Efua Sutherland's work. That will be happening year-long from June. We'll be working with Emma Fusua's festival as well, doing 3 shows, which are also available to travel. So Auntie Amy, I will be in touch. But the first is called A Voice at Playtime, which joins together 4 of her stories for children. So it's Tehinta, Voice in the Forest, Playtime in Africa, and The Roadmakers all together as one show. It has a workshop element, so if you have a school or children, we can do it with them. We also have A Spider, a Spider, a Spider, which is what you heard the excerpt of earlier, which includes circus, theater, and dance. And yes. So those will be the main elements. We're also looking for support, since we're all talking about support. And we are very open to working with different groups, different people. So if you are even interested in doing something, you need a space, or just around the corner, our email is terraalta, terraaltagh@gmail.com, but I'm sure they'll provide the details. Thank you very much.
Comments, questions? Comments, questions? Okay.
Thank you. My name is Nisai Doku. When Professor A.C. Sutherland gave her talk to us, she mentioned something about, if you love me, what are you going to do for me? Uncle Ralph talked about his mom's love for the environment and advocacy for things about the environment, the built environment especially. Fifi Coleman spoke about, if you love me, what are you doing for me? My question, since we have the head of the Ghana Tourism Board and the chief director of the Ministry of Culture here, is seeing what Efua Sutherland has done for Ghana. Is Ghana going to love her back? And how are your organizations going to show your love for Efua Sutherland Park, which is right now in tatters, not befitting of the person we are honoring today? Thank you.
If you love me, how do you show me? If you love me, how do you show me? I remember those years.
We'll take a comment on this later. Any other comments, questions?
If you love me, how do you show it?
Any other comments, questions? Okay, so I'd like to acknowledge a few more. We have the Deputy Director, National Commission on Culture. He was just referenced, so please let's put our hands together and welcome him. You're welcome. We also have Nana Jan Apinting. I saw him around briefly. Okay, right. And we have the President, Ghana Publishing Association, also in our midst, all the way in the back. Welcome. So I'll leave room for one final thought, questions before I say my thank yous, and then we bow out. Are there any comments or questions? But also those who got to encounter her, worked with her, mentored by her, if any of you has any words to share, we're more than happy to hear that as well. This is part of the honoring and the celebration, so we would really very much appreciate to hear some words, what it was like to have worked with her, if you were or if you did. But also if you've just read or been impacted by her work and have created work based on that, you're also more than welcome to say a thing or two. Okay.
Say something. Say something.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Amma Jadson, and I'm founder of an African audiobook company called Akko Books Audio. We celebrate African voices, and we bring to life African books by having them narrated. But the inspiration, what I really want to say is that the inspiration for my company is my mother, Mrs. Nana Dadson, who's a children's book writer who was inspired by Auntie Efua. My mother is 92. She's blind now, but Efua was her muse. Auntie Efua was the one who actually got Mummy writing. So she's done a couple of children's books which were published with Afram. Well, it was actually Sam Wood, another publishing company in Cape Coast in the 70s. And so when my mother went blind, and I was thinking about a way to get her books to read, and she loved audio, I started my audiobook company and been working very closely with Harriet and Afram Publications to bring to life some of the children's books that they have. So I'm really grateful. We thank my mom, she's 92, she couldn't come here today, but she wanted to extend her thank you and just again to acknowledge how Auntie Efua helped her become a writer. And she always tells a story about how she came all the way to Cape Coast when we were in the 70s and to come and see her and to encourage her to keep writing. So it's a little story.
Thank you very much. A round of applause. And Akko Books is doing amazing for the digital book publishing community and work. So please, another round of applause for her also for doing the very necessary and important work for writers. So we have one more comment or question, and we'll take one from here.
Okay, it's not a comment, just a 1 minute contribution. This man here is saying that if I don't speak on this occasion, then I didn't come here. So anyway, I'm honored because I studied at Auntie Efua's feet in this particular space and environment. When I was really cutting my teeth in the cultural sector, particularly in production, I used to come here quite a lot. And this lady here, I call her Crowd. She was the specialist in making sure I got the best orange juice. Squeeze orange so much in this house. You have no idea, what that is. So I'm really honored because I meet Auntie Efua. I studied at her feet, and I was one of the few that she shared the concept note of the Pan-African Historical Theatre Festival that we call PANAFest with me. And I remember I was in all kinds of fantasy modes at the time, trying to do something, young man, late 20s, early 30s, like George Kui. Is he still here? Trying to do all the things that, and so on. I was telling Auntie AC recently that Auntie Efua would tell, I was called a certain name, John Dake. I'm now Akuno Dake. And he would tell me, all kinds of things with PANAFest, big debors and bringing all kinds of people. Say, no. What is the development in this you are saying? Show me the development angle. It should stay with development. There should be something tangible, something that will really influence lives and really add value, to our country and to our society and to our people. And that has stayed with me for many, many, many years till now. That when I go to the space now, because I work more in the culture development area, that's where I work. And it has so much influence for me in that expressive arts are important. It really helps us to, underscore who we are. But more importantly, how do we ensure that it reflects and improves the lives and living conditions of our people on a day-to-day basis in a broader sense. And that's one that for me, Auntie Efua stood for all the time, that everything that you do should have a purpose and that it should influence lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akuno Dake. A few more names to acknowledge. I keep looking in her face and I've been bugging her with a long schedule. She's one of the coaches for the Voice on Words during the festival. Please, let's hear a round of applause for Dr. Efua Ekuma. I've been looking at her the whole time and I'm like, I've been worrying this lady like forever, and she always has an open door to me. So thank you so very much for supporting. We had a question here.
Oh, it's not a question. It's just my little contribution. My name is Amma, and like many young people, I've never seen Efua Sutherland. I never got to engage with her while she was alive. But I have been impacted by her legacy. I'm just very grateful for all the work that she did while she was alive. I'm grateful for the Emofra Park right next door. At times I've come here just to listen to the trees sing and to play on the swing. I'm grateful for her work with Willis Bell, especially Playtime in Africa. That book is very important to me. It's influenced some work I am doing at the moment, just considering what Playtime looks like to people today, how people are playing today. It started during the pandemic, so I was mostly concerned about how people were playing at the time when it was dangerous to go outside and interact with people. And I forget who mentioned earlier, but yeah, I think it was Ofusua. But I'm a big believer in playing regardless of how old you are. I think that for so many of us, as soon as you're an adult, a certain age, it's almost like, yeah, it's no longer okay to indulge in certain forms of play, even in our school system. As soon as you transition to dresses and start wearing a different kind of uniform from the ones that people from primary 1 through to 6 play, you can no longer play ampe as a girl. Like, it's no longer cool, you know? But I think that it's important that we make time to play and indulge in all forms of play. Yeah, so I'm just very grateful for her work, and particularly for her work with Willis Bell, Playtime in Africa.
Thank you very much. And Amma will be curating the playtime during the All African Women Poetry Festival. So come play with her and then come join all of us play. Let's also hear it for Ivy. Ivy is with Beyond the Return, but she's also, just a round of applause to acknowledge her. She actually did something very phenomenal for me when I was reaching out and sending out the invitations. And so I particularly want us to put our hands together for Ivy. And she's also an amazing blogger. And so if you need blogging tips and all that, I'm giving her work. Forgive me in advance. We also want to acknowledge Annabelle Mackenzie, who is the Director Beyond the Return Secretariat. Please let's hear it for Annabelle. Do we have any more questions? Any more comments? Okay. And so at this juncture, I would want to say a few thank yous. When we are done with this segment, we'll take a few photos and then we'll walk to the refreshment table to grab a bite and to commune amongst ourselves. And those that made that possible is Afram Publications. And so please, let's hear a round of applause for Afram Publications. And we also want to say a very big thank you to the director, who is, I call her Auntie Harriet, but Madam Harriet Tego. She happens to be the MD for Afram Publications. So please, let's hear a round of applause for her. The centenary year is being managed by Tunic Africa Limited. That's a project management company right here in Accra with a focus on creative art events, festivals, and programs. And so all the invitations you received, the calls you got, were coming from the offices of Tunic Africa in partnership with the estate of Efua, Sutherland. We also want to say thank you to Image Bureau for their support and helping with all we see on stage screen and all that. Please, let's hear a round of applause for Image Bureau. Thank you very much. We also want to say thank you to Big Ideas for their support. A big thank you to all our media personalities. We have Multimedia as our media partner for the centenary year. And so we have members from the Multimedia family here covering today's event. A big thank you to them. We also want to say thank you to GBC and thank you to UTV for gracing the occasion and for covering today's news. We talk about Efua Sutherland's legacy and we wonder who is managing these assets, these facilities. A very special person I want to say a big thank you to is Madame Dede Sutherland. She is the manager for Emofra Park, and so Emofra, that has been great blessing to Amma, is being managed by Dede Sutherland. And so please help me say a big thank you by putting our hands together to her. Also, thank you to Writers Projects Ghana for helping us on streaming and also setting up the book stand in the back, but also for the many contributions that they are, or the different things they are doing all year long to help support the cause and the year, and particularly to Martin Eglo-Wogbe. We can't say all our thank yous and not mention Terra Alta. And so thank you also to Elizabeth Sutherland of Terra Alta for her support and her work. Also a member of the Centenary Steering Committee. Please let's hear it for Elizabeth. we all won't be here celebrating Efua Sutherland if not for Professor A.C. Sutherland Addy and the family. And so we want to say thank you, Prof, for holding the fort. Thank you for doing the necessary work of keeping her name and her legacy going. Thank you for giving room to young ones like myself to believe that we can. And she's always there to guide you and coach you along the journey. So please help me say a big thank you to Professor A.C. Sutherland Addy. Thank you, Mr. Sutherland. I know he's a man of very few words, but he's been out today to speak with us. So thank you also for coming. I just want to say thank you again to all our stakeholders who are doing things in the course of the year. We will be coming to you. I will be coming to you. And when I do, we'll get together to plan what else we can do in the course of the year. And thank you to your very amazing selves for gracing today's occasion and for being a very guest. We also want to say a round of applause to Nene Na. Nene has spent nights crash course learning the tunes of Voice in the Forest. So some of the tunes you heard are actually adaptations from Voice in the Forest. And I've been giving this man pressure to learn the tunes and learn it well. And he's done amazing. Please, let's hear it from Nene Na. I hope that I haven't left any names out. Thank you to Kwame Krenzel and to our sound team from Mic Check and to also our video projection team. And a big thank you to all the volunteers. We have volunteers around making sure you're packed well, making sure your programs were handed over. All the young ladies in black all came up and said, we want to support. What can we do? So please, let's hear it for the amazing volunteers on duty tonight. And the last thing I'm going to be saying is if you have your phones, please grab it out briefly and find Efua Sutherland Legacy on Instagram, on Twitter, also the website Efua Sutherland Legacy. Whichever one you can find one, follow, like, and leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. We'll be posting a lot of updates on those platforms. And so do well to follow Efua Sutherland Legacy on all social media platforms, Facebook, IG, Twitter. You can also follow the festival at AAWP Festival on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, AAWP Festival on all social media platforms. So again, Efua Sutherland Legacy, all together one word, on all platforms, AAWP Festival on all social media platforms. And on that note, my name has been Emma Ofusua Donko. I have been your host for tonight, and I am also the director, or the coordinator, for the centenary year. Thank you all once again, and have a lovely evening. The refreshment table is open. Take a few pictures with us.
Oba Mary, me di me do yinama. How me Mary, me di me do yinama. Se me shawenim eni jeka se akamye. Ao do ye wo. Oba Mary, se me wa, me di di ye. And you me to me my war Oba Mary ya Jimiso Odo you me di me do yinama Odo you me di me do yinama Semi shawenim eni jeka se akame Odo you me did ye and you me to me my war Oba Mary ya Jimmy